Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to support the Greens bill to end no grounds eviction, and I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my colleague, housing spokesperson Jenny Leong, member for Newtown, because she has been working, we've been trying to get this over the line with successive governments since I was elected 9 years ago. And what we're hearing seems to be completely tone deaf to the thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of renters in all of your electorates. And I encourage, note the fabulous package that was sent to every member of this place by the Office of the Member for Newtown, with the ABS statistics showing exactly what is happening in each of your electorates. And that is good work, and you'd be wise to have a look at it, because the idea that you can do things this slowly in an absolute housing crisis beggars belief. This isn't one of those things that we can be plodding along, which seems to be what Labor is doing federally and at a state level. And while some things I think, yes, that approach is wise, this is not, because it has been going on for too long. And the Labor Party, the Liberal Party and the Nationals have all committed to ending no grounds evictions in some form, as have the Greens. In the lead up to the state election, everyone touted their commitment to this, but we've had absolutely no action. And I can tell you, Madam Speaker, in my electorate, post-floods, the crises that we are in with our renters is unimaginable. And I know that so many regional MPs, we have been talking about this for a very long time. So the idea that sitting in opposition, opposing our prior bills, that you couldn't be ready on this, I'm sorry, it's not good enough. And the member for Newtown introduced a bill in October 2022, presented the then coalition government and Labor opposition an opportunity to finally act on advice from the Tenants Union of New South Wales and other key organisations like councils and community centres, and end no grounds evictions for all tenants across the state. And had that happened, it certainly would have made a difference this year to the statistics that we're seeing. But neither of the major parties were willing to seize the opportunity. And is it just that dogged attitude of not supporting something by the Greens? What is it? Because I don't believe that you need any more information. Data from New South Wales Fair Trading reveals that across the state, one tenant is evicted every 18 minutes. That is an outrageous statistic. The Tenants Union of New South Wales eviction map tells us that in 2023, landlords made over 13,000 eviction applications through the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal, painting a grim picture of the desperate precariousness for renters in this state. Madam Speaker, tenancy laws in New South Wales allow tenants to be evicted for no reason. That's the term no grounds, with 30 days notice at the end of their fixed term lease, or with 90 days notice during a periodic ongoing month-to-month lease. For years, the Greens have stood with the Tenants Union of New South Wales and their Make Renting Fair campaign, as well as community legal centres, housing justice activists, to advocate for these unfair no grounds evictions to be outlawed. And you have agreed with us, but you have taken too long. During the last major review of New South Wales tenancy laws between 2016 and 2018, we urged the then coalition government to closely examine provisions relating to the termination of a lease and end no grounds evictions, but this was not acted upon. In 2017, then Minister for Better Regulation, Matt Keane, who was in the chamber before, acknowledged that no grounds, he is here, he acknowledged that no grounds evictions, retaliatory evictions, all these things are currently undermining renters' rights in New South Wales. So we were all in furious agreement, but no one has done it. Nobody has done it. Madam Speaker, in question time in November 2023, the member for Newtown asked the Minister responsible
Order.
When renters...
If you'd like to have a conversation, member for Prospect and member for Hornsey, please do so outside the chamber. Thank you.
I asked the relevant minister when renters could expect to finally see legislation to end no grounds eviction. In his response, he said, and I quote, "This is one of the most difficult and contentious parts of rental reform. end of quote, seemingly having forgotten that it was an election promise that all parties made. We've continued to raise this with the Premier and the Minister, but we have no real details about the barriers, these so-called barriers. And when I listened to the Minister speak earlier today in relation to this bill, I was not persuaded. I was not persuaded at all. I think that the Property Council and I think that very vested interests are the voices that are being listened to, and it's incredibly disappointing. Madam Speaker, we've heard from the member for Newtown a summary of the bill, but I want to turn to my community where rental horrors are a daily occurrence, and everyone has those stories in their electorate. But my community is coming off the worst rental availability scarcity I've seen in my lifetime in the Northern Rivers, and the affordability is off the charts. People asking for basic rights, like to have mould after the floods, to have mould removed, or we see time and time again, I've seen for decades, good renters kicked out because Bluesfest is coming up, kicked out because Splendor's coming up, and they can get 4 times the rent. And then they just put new people in because guess what? There's hundreds of people lining up. My cousin in Mullumbimby has a secondary dwelling and put it on the rental market not that long ago. There were 130 applicants for a tiny granny flat in Mullumbimby. And Madam Speaker, I myself was living in a converted garage when I was elected. I was a renter, a lifelong renter until I was elected. And I can tell you, I experienced as a single mum what it is like to be told that you have to leave when your daughter's in the middle of her HSC and you can't find anywhere to live because it's near Christmas time. And that is a notoriously difficult time in my electorate to find rentals. We also know today in the Herald what a rent freeze, which is what we have pushed for as a party at state and federal level, how much that would have assisted renters in our cost of living crisis. And I also don't think landlords are business people. Landlords are business people, and they already have negative gearing and they have capital gains tax discounts. So let's be clear. If you think you're offending businesses, those people as business people, they have tax perks. Freezing in a reasonable way would not have hurt them, but it would have assisted thousands and thousands of renters in capital cities. We know today it would have saved $3.8 billion over 12 months to March if rents had been frozen. So this is ground zero, no grounds eviction. And I said to the member for Newtown recently, because a lot of people, because we've been talking about it for so long, and so have the majors, that people think it's there. They think this is already there until they have the absolute horror of finding out that no, these protections are not afforded to them in this state. And Madam Speaker, further, so I want to thank the member for Newtown for her tireless advocacy in this space. And just to add that I was pleased that the government has put out a discussion paper about short-term rental accommodation, particularly in the context of Byron Shire for me. And we have our 60-day cap, and we're very grateful for that. It's taken a decade, and we'll be monitoring that closely. The member for Newtown and I both made a submission to that process, and we welcome that those conversations about taxing short-term rental accommodation. We've pushed for a bed tax in Byron for a very long time. I know it won't be able to be called that, but in the high tourist areas such as mine, we need something, and the 60-day cap will go a long way. So, Madam Speaker, this is we can't wait any longer. Honestly, the time's up. And, I say to my community that are struggling after the floods, none of them would be sitting here and patiently, regardless of who they vote for, they would not be sitting here and patiently listening to the dulcet tones that there's lots of time to get this one right.
Call the member.